I'm Dan Hall, and this is Dan Hall Explains It All. Welcome to the first episode of Dan Hall Explains It All. Here's what we're going to be doing on this little show. I am going to go through all of academia. Is that what you call it? Is that what the smart people say? And I'm gonna teach you all everything I know about all of the subjects I learned throughout my life. Today's first episode is mathematics. Math is a big one. We're gonna be focusing a lot more on not the hard math, like calculus and trigonometry. I couldn't tell you what trigonometry is if you held a gun to my head. I've heard calculus is like some hybrid of algebra and geometry, which, let's go jump off the top of the school. I am Dan Hall. I went to school in Quincy, Mass. I was supposed to be a smart kid when I was growing up. I remember trying, and then math got like wicked hard one day. I have my problems with math. It's probably not the best one to start out on first, but it's gonna be fun. You guys are gonna learn everything I know about math, or at least the things I've looked up about math, I guess. My background in school, or academia, I went to college for 6 years, an associate's in arts or science. I'm not sure. Whatever business marketing is as a degree. That's supposed to take you 2 years. It's supposed to be a little training wheel on to the next thing. I went for 6, which is 4 more, and that's place value. We got 2 and 4, and we got 6. That's math, baby. We're gonna jump right in. Welcome back, Dan. Okay? We're gonna read some definitions, okay? I need you to read them for me. Okay. Where are they? It's on the screen. Right there? Right there. Right over there. Your eyebrow, dude. What's going on with my eyebrow? Okay, where's the definition? Over there. Just read the one that says 1. What's happening? So boring. I know, but we're trying to make it fun here. Read the definition. Okay. It's the definition of mathematics by Merriam, whatever, the dictionary ladies. Merriam and Webster. Okay, go. Jesus. The science of numbers and their operations, interrelations, combinations, generalizations. It's a fucking Muse song? What is this? And abstractions, and of space configurations. There's a long one, I know. And their structure, measurement, transformations, and generalizations again. The fuck does that mean? I don't know. Try reading number 2. Okay. Cover your mouth. A branch of, operation in, or use of mathematics. I like that definition. Yeah, so do I. I'm a big fan of that one. I like when a definition... Can I speak? Yeah, sorry. I like when a definition just has the word in it. It's like, what's the definition of mathematics? Doing mathematics. All right, you know what? I'm gonna do the rest on my own. No, fuck you, let me start. No. That was Dan the Puppet. We're on okay terms. We're not doing well. We're gonna jump into the history of math. The famous, the guys who invented it. The reason I struggled in school was because of these men right here. And the first one off the bat, we're gonna go with Pythagoras. That fucking dickhead. There was nothing to do back in the day. in Greece. So they would just be like, ooh, shapes and points, and be like line, line, line. Okay, look, we're fucking philosophers now. That's fucking horseshit. I was reading about this Pythagoras guy. They say that he didn't even like do half this shit, and that he just kind of like was like, you know, cherry picking whatever. Like people were doing shapes before he was doing shapes, but he was the first real like big guy to be like, you guys gotta check out fucking squares. Pythagorean theorem reads, in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the two other sides. Oh, that's it. Of the two other sides. So I don't know. Let's look up what hypotenuse means. How about we start there? Hypotenuse. The longest side of a right triangle opposite the right angle. Oh, okay. All right. So it's the big one. It's the long one that makes the journey. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay. Pythagoras proved that shit. I don't know what that means. These guys had a bunch of books where they were like, we proved it. Go read it. It's proof. He had a sick beard. Fucking left and right. It was Greece. They loved fucking and angles. They were like, give me a sphere any day of the week, you know, in my ass. That was ancient Greece for you. These guys, when you look them up, they're like fucking like they're engineers, philosophers, artists, mathematicians. They say engineer, you know, inventor. Like they just gave them everything, and now it would just be like, oh, it's a mechanical engineer, or you know, someone on Shark Tank. The guy who invented the Scrub Daddy is the same as fucking Pythagoras and Archimedes. Oh yeah, Archimedes was fucking around with like parallel lines, and Euclid, that son of a bitch. He's another one. They all loved shapes. People were fascinated by shapes. He wrote a book called Elements, and I think to this day probably like rich, douchey, smart people will read it, and like Abraham Lincoln always had it with him before debates, like shit like that. Imagine fucking like, oh, I'm about to fight with my thoughts in front of a crowd of people. Let me do some fucking math. So Euclid wrote this book called Elements, and it's basically just his playbook of being like, fucking look at this shit. It's all my theories proved front to back. People love this book. I can't imagine reading it. A book about math. First off, get me to read a book. Second, about math. He was a godfather. He was like all about. He was another motherfucker that was like lines, shapes. Let's fucking do it. Let's get on it. Integers and shit didn't come until a little later, maybe around the same time. I don't know. History is all just like one clump, and it's like if you weren't wearing like a cowboy hat or, you know, a fucking pilgrim hat, I'm not sure what era we're in anymore. Like the way numbers, I get, this was so fucking confusing to me. I was listening to some professor guy, put me to sleep, Jesus. But he was saying how like numbers used to be like, if I had 3 dogs, my dogs would be named like ZD, Meaty, and Petey. Instead of saying, I have 3 dogs. Or like, I have 1 dog, I have 1 dog, I have 1. That was more how they did it. And then once they started coming up with numbers and shit, they were like, well, we have, it was more like Roman numerals. So it was like the 10, like, you know, it was like, how'd they do it? You know, the Super Bowl, where it's like X is 10. You have to do math in a Roman numeral when you're looking at it. That's the fucking confusing part. At least the, you know, odd number system is like, actually ours is fucking confusing too. We add Y to everything, 40, 30, 50, all that shit. Numbers are fucking confusing. Numbers are a whole other one. Math, I can't believe I'm doing math as the first one as this. Euclid, great guy, loved shapes. Who doesn't love a square, right? And then we got Isaac Newton in there. He was figuring out how stuff moved. He figured out motion and inertia and all that shit. Something with an apple. He shot an apple off of someone's head, or he ate an apple. I don't remember. There's something with an apple, and it fell and hit him in the head. Fucking Dan Hawk explains it all. That's what I was missing. It hit him in the head, and he was like, "Oh shit, shit falls." Yeah, now we have like fucking self-driving cars and shit that know how to stop before it hits a dog in the street with no one driving it. So thank you, Sir Isaac Newton. I don't know if he was knighted, but he was in my eyes. He also had a huge nose on him. I almost said knob. Yeah, huge nose on the guy. It's a giant nose. He must have been able to smell the numbers. What do we got in here? So the Babylonians, I don't know who the fuck they are. The Egyptians, they did like, you know, Egypt. The Italians were big into math. They love the mathematics, and obviously the Greeks and stuff and all that. Great pizza too, and angles. Oh my God, it's all coming together. Greek and Italian pizza. I've never had Egyptian or Babylonian pizza, but Greek and Italian pizza. One's more Crisco, deep in a risen walled pan. You know, I don't even know the word for that. We'll do a cooking episode. And then the other is, you know, just the flat on a grate. Like, you don't even need the grate. The grate's just there to, you know, have something to slide the spatula under when you're putting it in the wood burning oven. Anyway, so yeah, they have angles and they do eighths, and that's where we get weed from, and I'll take an ounce of pizza. Oh, this was fun. So the addition sign, the plus sign, wasn't invented until like 1300 BC. And then the subtraction, so that's not that crazy, but the subtraction sign wasn't invented for another 100 years after that, in 1200 BC. They were like, man, we just keep adding shit and we need to take some of it away, but there is no sign for it. And then one day some guy was just like, beep, a little dash. And they're like, what's that? And he was like, it's notation, baby. It's algorithmic notation. I just made that up. I don't know. I'm sure I've heard that somewhere, but it's not the thing I'm talking about. Sounds like it could be, but it's not. Last one is Leonhard Euler. Not to be confused with my 11th grade geometry teacher, Mr. Euler, whose class I did get a D in and passed for the year, but only because he liked me, because I was a good guy. Nothing to do with my effort in learning geometry. Once, dude, I'm telling you, the Pythagorean theorem, I was like, that like shocked my brain back into, I couldn't tell you like what it does. I mean, I know if you got to plug in the letters and then something with the triangle. Anyway, I'm not a carpenter. What the fuck? They were getting this all ready for Jesus. That's what the BC was. They were getting ready for shapes because they knew he was a carpenter. They were like, oh shit, he's going to have really cool houses and modern feng shui ideas. Cool Jesus. Jesus loved angles too. He was a shapes guy. He invented the cross. Both Leonhard Euler and Mr. Euler loved graphs. That was their big thing. Graphing, analysis, and shapes. And figuring out sides of shapes when I knew the other two sides of shapes. But I don't know why we needed to know that. You know what I mean? Like I drove a truck up until the past year or so. I was a truck driver. I guess I was using angles and shit. Get in and out of... But you're not thinking about that when you're screaming at an Uber driver because he won't move out of the way of a fucking loading dock on Atlantic Ave. Ready? Pythagoras. Listen up, Chief, up there, wherever you are. Probably in hell for inventing the devil's favorite subject, math. I would have to I'd just stop dead in traffic, not even at a light. I'd stop, I'd take a 26-foot truck, and I'd swing it all the way to the left, and then I'd back the fucking thing in straight line. So I think Pythagoras and Archimedes and all them would be proud of me if they saw me driving. I'd like to think that, you know. Right, Puppet Tim? He doesn't answer if I'm not holding him. Alright, so to finish it up, I'm just going to give you what I actually know about math. I went to a trade high school, and trade high school is great, but we had like electrical, we had carpentry, welding, plumbing, you name it, auto, whatever, all of that stuff. We had fucking horticulture. And then, you know, math and all the English normal shit. And I was a musician the whole 4 years I was there, so I used none of my school's resources and tried to do the one thing that my school pumped zero money into, which is math. It's a budget. You gotta do the fucking budget. Einstein couldn't do his taxes. I think that's all budgeting. Mr. Euler taught us taxes, not Mr. Euler. Mr. Euler taught us taxes one day in 11th grade, and he was like, they should teach you guys this shit in school all the time. They should have an entire class for it. 9th grade, I took like dumb algebra, or like dumb pre-algebra. I took pre-algebra. Kids were taking like pre-calculus when I was in 8th grade. I took pre-algebra in 9th and 10th grade. And then in 11th grade, I took algebra 1, or no, pre-algebra, algebra, geometry. And then it was supposed to go into algebra 2. And I didn't do math my final year of high school because I was fucking cool and didn't need the credits and didn't think I was gonna need math. I'm going to college now, my 6-year stint at community college, and I get put in an algebra 1 class, which I had already taken my sophomore year, but they were like, your math fucking blows. It's like you've never even seen numbers before. So I had to take another algebra 1 class that counted towards 0 credits to the entire college. It was 8th grader math. That was the crazy part. It was like there were kids doing it in 8th grade what I was doing in my first year of a 6-year run at a community college. Yeah, and then I took accounting, which, here's the thing, folks. If you're charming, you can weasel your way out of things. I learned how to I learned how to smile a lot and, you know, fucking give the teacher a nice handshake or an apple or whatever the fuck, because the grades weren't doing it. And math was the hottest. I don't know if I'm dyslexic, but when I see a bunch of numbers, or like, I'm not dyslexic. The Fonz is dyslexic. If anyone's ever like, take this phone number down and they start just rattling it off, I'm like, what made you think I'm gonna fucking, I'm not fucking Goodwill Hunting over here. I don't have a photographic memory. Another great mathematician. I made a Goodwill Hunting reference and I was gonna try not to do that the entire time, but we're here now. Oh, right, schmoozing. So if you learn, that's the best key, I think, to my math career, was a nice schmooze, a nice hello and a handshake, and an on time, and give it an honest try. Don't pass in homework late, but you know it's just, you know, I might as well have just poured ketchup over it and passed it in that way, because it wouldn't have been any different. I was writing hieroglyphics on most of my homework, and my teachers were I was writing webdings. I was drawing them, hand-drawn webdings. Long story short, I passed accounting, I made it through geometry, I made it through community college, pre-algebra, I can't even say it. I'm all set on math, I think. I don't need to learn any new way. I think I know all the way, like it's so, you know, you do, the best way to use it is, you know, like as a talent, right? Like if you're out to dinner or at a bar or something with friends and you don't have to pull out your calculator on your phone to do that tip, to do that 20. If you can just do that off the top of your head, people are impressed. They are like, wow, look at this guy go. He is a whiz, if you will. I think that's all I really need. It's just a YouTube video now, or a fucking whatever, an audiobook. Math is fucking probably everywhere, and I'm an asshole and don't know anything about it. If math is the ocean, I only know a drop's worth. Yes. I'll see you all next week for Dan Hall Explains It All. That wasn't bad, right? Fuck you. Fuck you.